Hi, I'm Ella and welcome back to my second tutorial on sustainability. Last session we started to look at some products and their impacts on the planet and people, and how a life cycle analysis can help designers to identify opportunities to make more sustainable decisions. At the end of last week I set you the task to look into some products or projects in which the designers were addressing sustainability, and I hope that you can share these with some of your classmates at some point. Now, to share with you as a trainee architect, a project that really inspires me is Goldsmith Street, the winner of the Sterling Prize last year. It's a social housing scheme which incorporates environmental sustainability in energy efficient homes and social sustainability by creating really lovely spaces for people to interact and socialise.
As a council, we've been interested in building new social housing for quite a long time. The properties that we have here are all built to passive house standards, so that's really lowered the energy bills.
Houses have to be very highly insulated and airtight. Really simple things like you can't have a letterbox in the front door, so we've had to kind of find places for the letterboxes.
But more significant than that, it's a fabulous place for people to live. So even if you're in a single flat, you've got a little balcony. If you're a family, you've got a little bit of outdoor space, but there's communal space as well.
For me, one of the most successful aspects are the social issues. We were very keen to ensure that front doors face front doors, so something like a traditional street is very good for that. To make it less car orientated, so there's many more places for people just to walk or children to scoot without having to cross a road. We've carved out these play spaces which all the residents can have access to, so the children can play securely, overlooked by their parents. So there's a kind of social aspect to the scheme that I think is really successful.
People walk in and they're kind of impressed as if you built this, I didn't choose the brickwork or the front door, but it's clear that someone has, and someone did care that I liked my home, and that means a lot to me. That someone put the effort to say, let's try something different, and it doesn't feel like I rent a house, I feel like I own a house, which is really nice.
So what is it that makes some companies and designers address sustainability more than others? Firstly, let's have a think about how they start to work to a design criteria. Now let's take a look at these two toothbrushes. Same product, same brand, but why would they bother introducing a bamboo toothbrush when it does the same job as the plastic one? Have a think about the design criteria that they used in making more sustainable decisions. So many toothbrush companies are jumping on the bamboo handle hype. And that is because whilst the plastic toothbrushes have begun to introduce some recycled plastics, this handle is made from 100% biodegradable material. It uses less energy in manufacture and also creates less waste in landfill, a positive result for the environment. So I'd now like you to compare two products, one which you think is more sustainable than the other, and make a list of the design criteria used for each. Now, companies and organisations will obviously vary in their commitments to sustainability, but let's have a look at those addressing these global concerns. Probably one of the largest worldwide initiatives is driven by the United Nations, or the UN. They called together world leaders to make a plan to address the world's biggest global concerns for people and the environment. A set of 17 were drawn up, and these are called the Sustainable Development Goals, or Global Goals for short.
Hi folks, Alex here. In 2015, the United Nations set up 17 Sustainable Development Goals, also known as SDGs, that were adopted by 193 countries. And our mission is to achieve these goals by 2030. In this video, we are going to talk about the SDG wedding cake and two other interesting ways you can use these goals to see if your country or your business is sustainable. Okay, let's get drawing. On this channel, we share tools to help you change the world, so subscribe if that's of interest to you. To be totally honest, the problem with these 17 goals is that, well, there are 17 of them, which can make them look complicated and not easy to remember. But the good thing about them is that they are the result of many public consultations, and they provide a shared language for all countries to report on. They also cover a lot of important things, and they can tell us if we are becoming sustainable. Or do they? First, let's look at how they are interconnected instead of looking at them individually. The Stockholm Resilience Center suggested organizing the SDGs into 3 layers. The environment as the foundation, supporting society, which supports the economy. This is like the triple bottom line, or the 3 pillars of sustainability that I presented in another video. I put a link in the description below. Essentially, sustainability is about meeting human needs within ecological constraints, and the economy is a strategy to make money while achieving sustainability. There are 4 goals about the environment: clean water, climate action, life on land, and life below water. 8 goals are about society: no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, affordable and clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, and peace, justice, and strong institutions. And these 4 goals are about the economy: decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, responsible consumption and production. They call this representation the SDG wedding cake. In other words, we can't achieve decent economic growth or even food security without first taking care of our oceans, as was demonstrated in Newfoundland during the collapse of the Atlantic cod fisheries in the 1990s. And to use the more recent example of the coronavirus crisis, we can't have everybody in good health and achieve no poverty without taking care first of our land, forests, and our greenhouse gas emissions. My video on coronavirus explains this in more details. With the 17 goals come targets and indicators. I am not going to bore you with all the 169 targets and 232 indicators, but if we look at the affordable and clean energy goal as an example, it has 5 associated targets which read like this. By 2030, ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. By 2030, increase substantially the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. By 2030, double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency, etc.
Now that you've learnt a bit more about the goals, I'd like you to think about the role that engineers and designers have in addressing these targets, particularly those for climate action and sustainable cities. I hope through that activity you've been able to recognise the valuable role that designers and engineers have in achieving these global goals. One strategy that is helping companies to rethink their approach is called the circular economy. Now let's have a look at what that means.
We live in a world with finite materials.
We are throwing an awful lot of electronics,
plastic, food, carpets,
clothing
away. It's a waste of precious materials.
If we could build an economy that would use things rather than use them up, we could build a future that really could work in the long term.
You design the product in a way that
Can be taken apart once the consumer has finished using them.
you remanufacture it and give it out again. You can reduce your production costs hugely if applied correctly.
Instead of garments ending up in landfill.
Companies can repurpose it, reuse it, making profit out of their waste.
We take some resources from nature and bring it back in the form of nutrients.
It's very much a natural cycle. We use 70% less water than conventional agricultural methods.
Our packaging is not a waste, it's something that you can consume and eat.
We redesign everyday products to make them fully recyclable.
We farm as close to nature as is possible.
The H&M Group has set ambitious targets to use 100% sustainably sourced materials.
There is a lot of conversation about not buying clothes, but different models where you can rent clothing.
We developed fully modular headphones that we offer on a subscription basis.
The circular economy itself is inevitable in my view.
It's not one fix, it's about the entire system being redesigned.
This is, to me, the only way to fight climate change, to fight pollution, to fight waste.
This is a business model that stacks up.
Global companies cannot survive in the future without transitioning towards a circular economy. That is a really exciting future.
Lots of companies are taking the ideas of circular economy on board, and here are some examples.
How's it going, everyone? We think it's really important that people think about where clothing comes from and how it's made. So today we're in India and we're going to go and meet some of the people that grow the organic cotton that gets turned into our t-shirts. So here at the Gin Factory, which is where cotton gets separated out with a usable part of the fibre for clothing. So the guys are showing us here the end product of this process where the cotton seeds are pressed, and this is what we end up with, and it's used to feed cows. Closed loop water recycling facility. So the guys have challenged me to drink it, so I'm going to do that. Fine. It tastes like water. When you make cotton, about 2% of the material in the spinning factory ends up on the floor. So we're going to go look around and see how this cotton waste can be turned into paper, and that's the kind of paper we use in our packaging our products. What's amazing about that is that's as high quality as any other card that I've ever seen. And it's just cotton and water. When products arrive with us, they're stored in our factory on the Isle of Wight. And here, products are made in real time. That means they're printed in the seconds after they're ordered. And because of that, there isn't any waste. This is the last stage in the process, where finished products are sent out to our customers. But it's not the end of the journey, because every product we make is designed to be sent back to us when it's worn out. And we take that material and remanufacture it into new products that can be worn again. New products like this remanufactured t-shirt that I've worn throughout the journey.
So the circular economy really encourages designers to look at their projects throughout a whole life cycle. Now for your final task of this tutorial, I'd like you to use the ideas behind the circular economy and rethink the design and manufacture of a bedside table for a furniture company. You'll be given the design and asked to make some suggestions to improve its sustainability. So thank you for joining me on these 2 classes on sustainability. I hope you found them useful and that you can go on to use some of your learning in your designing and making projects. Best of luck!